What's up, Touré? How you doing, man?
Good, Wayne, bro. How you?
Another day, another brain down. Just out here trying to live,
Get it?
trying to trying to keep things simple for the people out there. I wanted to we had an interesting conversation earlier today. We were talking about the different the different levels in that person that's not using AI, because we talk about the different levels of people that are using AI. Level one being the person that's using it like a glorified Google search, typing whatever in there, copy and pasting and moving on with their life. And then level two, they're starting to put together skills, folders, and different things. And then obviously level three, which is where there's far less traffic, which is kind of where we aim to live. But I don't want, and you brought up a great point. I don't want people to think that if they're not at level two or don't think that they're ready for level three, because that came up in yesterday's webinar as well. And we touched on that too. If they're not there, that there's not anything for us to do, that we can't help them. So I want you to talk a little bit about what that might look like from a business perspective. And then obviously we can talk a little bit about how we can help them.
Yeah, I think it boils down to meeting people where they are.
Always.
There's a there's this idea that you have to scrap what you're doing, and AI. There's such a fear mongering system. I mean, there's some serious health things that we need to consider in the future, but the reality of it is, right now, businesses are overwhelmed by where they finding their leads, how are they keeping their doors open, how are they going to keep making payroll, how are they dealing with the cost inflation, all the things that are happening in our country right now. And AI is really one of those things that can either keep you distracted or it can have you something that push you forward. And
Yeah.
there's that first layer that I look at is the people who are still operating manually, who are still having to keep repeating themselves, who are feel like they have to be in between because they feel like they have a little bit more control of what's going to be the output, but they know they're burning candles at both ends. And then you actually have those individuals that are trying to play around with trying to lighten the load, as you just mentioned before, which is they're getting into the different tools, and but they still don't recognize in that, yes, it's getting done faster, but they start going down this rabbit hole of all these different AI softwares and different tools. And the next thing you know, it's like we forgot what the main goal is, which is to improve our family's livelihood or our opportunities, and potentially put ourselves in a position to either have an exit strategy or to have a life that we've been always dreaming of. And we can't lose that factor. And so, our goal is to try to help people get back to the main goal at hand and get the business moving so they can do things that they actually care about the most and be with the people they care about the most.
Yeah. I think one of the interesting things, and I never thought about it, but honestly, before we started down this path, I mean, it was me. I was still making all the sales calls. I was still scheduling all the appointments on the calendars. I was still typing in all the follow up. Like, I was still doing all those things that you were told that a good sales process needed to encompass. And I even struggled switching from seeing clients face to face to doing virtual appointments, because I was so set and that kneecap to kneecap and the process of building rapport, that I couldn't wrap my head around how it could possibly duplicate that process on the other side of a computer screen. But what I found was, with those manual calls, the follow-ups, all the things that I would manually put on the calendar or write down somewhere and hope that I got back to, that what it really was, first and foremost, and I think it speaks to the way that we address people in general, and getting them from that entry level or wherever they are all the way to level three, is that process where we figure out how they're operating now, and refine that process so that the infrastructure is solid, so that when we put something on top of it, it doesn't waste tokens, or it
Man, listen,
doesn't hallucinate.
that's huge, man. And I think that it may be ugly, it may be embarrassing, it may not be something you're proud of, but you have to get to the point where you are extracting a baseline. If you are expecting and using these tools to help advance some things that you have not exposed it to, then yes, it's going to impact the output. And I think that's the hard work. It's like showing the person the scar and be like, yo, this is what I've been through, and you really you have to present a certain way. It's going to come a time, it's going to be very difficult to
Yeah.
determine what's real and what's not real. Yeah. But the thing is that those who are really open and transparent about extracting those informations, not for your information to be stolen or not for you to feel like your intellectual property is going to be invaded. It's to really to have a truth, because right now I think the real currency that's going to change the game maybe in the near future, next 3 to 4 years, is human touch. It's going to be a real thing.
Absolutely.
And if you don't have that you factor that draws people to you, because everything's going to be centralized, like
Yeah.
mechanisms and systems and all this stuff that we've said for up until now, in my opinion, I think AI flattens the playing field. We're going to all be pulling for the same pool to some degree. So if you don't have anything that stands out to make you unique and find your person, then you're going to get washed up by the shore because you're just going to blend in. So I think AI gives people the opportunity to show more who they are. And so people do business with people, and so happen people own businesses. And people sometimes get this idea that people do business with businesses and then they do business with people. No, nowadays I think, they love the brands, but they love the stories behind the people in the brand. And so you have to start positioning yourself to get that information out to show who you are and what you represent so people can connect with that for sure.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that you said a lot about AI specifically though, and allowing you to show up more of as who you are, because that's one of the other things that we wanted to focus on too, is amplifying who somebody is and making sure that we capture their genius, which is how this is architected, that we capture their genius and remove those tedious tasks so that they can show up as themselves. And I remember, no shade at all. I love Ohio. Born and raised, I wouldn't be who I am without the Ohio experience. But I remember when I left Ohio for good, the first time I came back to visit, flying into Ohio and seeing the gray skies and literally feeling my mood change. And it's because that seasonal depression that I've come to know is real was really creeping back in, and we hadn't even landed yet. And when I was gone, it wasn't there, which freed me to be more me. And that's what we're doing with what we're building is really just clearing out the clouds so that you can be more genuinely you, so that we can highlight that you factor and shine a light on that you factor. And you hit the nail on the head, because, and we talk about it again in the workshop that we have every Wednesday, is AI is not replacing you. And there's three other things that we touch on, but that's one of the most prevalent objections to AI is, well, if AI can do all that, and you see it in the news too, if AI can do all that, then what am I supposed to do? AI is going to put us all out of jobs. And now is the best opportunity you have to position yourself to be infinitely valuable, because you've learned how to leverage AI to multiply your efforts and make you and the work that you do that much more impactful.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And I think that overall, we have to kind of look at, you know, we have to look at where we want to be. And somewhere along the line, we've gotten distracted by a lot of the shiny tools, or even discouraged by not being able to meet some of the goals that we set out. And I don't know if our targets as a whole are specific enough. So if we don't really have a specific target, and I don't know if people recognize what even a specific target is, like, hey, saying I want to do $50,000 a month or $100,000 a month, or that's not really a target. It's because you're going to have those good days and you're going to have your bad days. The question is it tied to a why, or why we're doing this? And that target is the ability to say, whether it's a mission based scenario where we're looking to try to make a huge impact. And I think that oftentimes, man, your creativity comes from that. And without having that in place, you will probably allow more of these tools, or you'll start operating with fear. You'll start hearing messages and start determining that those messages are more accurate to your reality than your belief system. All because you may just be lacking the focus of what your real target may be. So I encourage individuals to spend more time identifying where you want to be, not losing who you are in this process. As technology continues to go at a rapid speed, we're talking about that was like almost like a full year and a half, right? And then we started to see the writing on the wall. And now where we at today, it's almost you got a 6 month window of just something that's always currently changing. And that speed of progress, it's not to say that people are going to get left behind, because there's still a lot of people not impacted by it. But I'm to the point now, like, I don't know how you can plan with the amount of speed and as information is going without using the tool. So if you're stuck and and some people don't need to use a tool as much as others. Like some people using it daily. But if you don't even use it for the data to give you more information about your marketing
Right.
or your market in general, you can utilize it just for that. That could possibly be beneficial for you.
No, that's definitely a game changer. And to speak to the if you're not using it, especially if you're working with us, then there's really no reason not to use it because we're taking all of the friction away and really allowing you to continue to operate the way that you've been operating because everything is kicked off or initiated just by you speaking. So you don't need to learn how to use a tool. You don't need to memorize any other logins, bookmark any sites or anything like that. It's just integrated into what you already do. And you just business as usual. You just say it, and the things that you envision about your business will happen. And we will, again, talk more about that in the work, in the webinar and in the workshop. And ultimately, if we end up working together, obviously you'll see all of it in its full capacity firsthand.
You know,
But
you
that,
said something that was interesting when it was a person in our workshop yesterday that was like, I'm trying to see what tool you using.
right,
And the thing about it is that now they're programming us to look at the tool. It's never really been about the
right.
tool, honestly. It really hasn't.
The shiny
It
thing that you were
Yeah,
talking about.
it's like you looking for the tool, you're missing the whole point. The idea is that are you using it in a way that you're not the continue to input output person? Like if you gotta constantly be the person who has to take the output out, you put the input in, you gotta take the output out. You've now become a part of the tool. You are the tool.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. We don't want you worried about the tool. We don't want you to worry about using the tool. We don't even want you to know that you're using a tool.
yeah.
You just need to know that something's working in the like I people always and I equate this back to infinite banking and people are always want to know and there's nothing wrong with it the all the intricacies of it and I know it's out of fear and they're trying to establish trust but I think about how often get in the car and go to the store or go to the mall or go to like 90% of people driving cars have no idea how they work but now all of a sudden you need to be an expert on everything. So you don't need to be here. I rest assured you don't need to be here. It's going to work and we're going to build it around you so that it works with you and you don't have to figure out how it works. But it's just funny that people go that route in this space.
Yeah, I think it's because it's tangible. I also think there's a level of curiosity. I also think it's a level of ignorance, and I mean that in the most respectful way, that because the curiosity and ignorance are coming together, those who have spent way more time vested in learning it, you question everything. That's why, it's
Hmm.
important to lean on your own understanding because naturally you're going to probably always look at it through the lens of was there pain or pleasure? And if it was
Yeah,
pain, you're gonna always run towards pleasure. And I think oftentimes, man, the more and more people recognizing what's happening, they will probably find themselves either excited, they'll find themselves in a position where they'll find relief. And then in some cases, man, they may find the freedom. I think that's what we all really I know that's what I was shooting for is freedom.
absolutely.
And I think that somehow that's gotten lost. Like, millions of dollars is not enough. Let's go for trillions.
Yeah,
Let's go for billions. Let's go for trillions. Like it's just never enough. So, at the redefining what success and wealth looks like and redefining what freedom looks like. If you can settle upon acknowledging that baseline and reestablishing what that means to you, infuse that into your business and you may change the expectations that you added on to your business. You may change how you see your business now. You may even find out you're not as far as you think you are. And I think that's the encouragement that, I'm hoping that we actually try to help people identify with is that meet you where you are, recognizing where you are is just it's a moment in time. It's not a representation of who you are as a person or who you are as a leader, but it does give you an opportunity to be as impactful the moment you can reestablish what that vision looks like and obviously infuse it in a business and use at your disposal. So whether it's a team member, whether it's a software, whether it's an agent, these things are supposed to enhance your product, your services. Don't be afraid of that. Figure out how to harness it, how to protect it, and wrap yourself in it so people can so people can connect you. with the brand they work with.
Yeah, absolutely. On that note, tap in, if not this Wednesday, next Wednesday, and let us show you how to alleviate that pain. Of course, the webinar is free. We just want to kind of expose you to what's there and how we can help, and let you know that it can be a pleasurable process, and it's not going to be nearly as painful as what you built it up to be. And we can make the transition seamless, comfortable, and educational, so that you're not intimidated by what's happening. And if we can help, great. If we can't, at least you left with a little bit more information than you had before you joined us.
Agreed. Look forward to seeing you guys.
All right. Thanks for jumping on. We'll see you folks in the near future. Next Brain Down.